This is our chance to start over. It's all gonna be good. You'll see.
The Bates Motel TV series is a contemporary prequel to Alfred Hitchcock's iconic film Psycho, offering a deep dive into the complex relationship between Norman Bates and his mother, Norma. The series, which aired from 2013 to 2017, consists of 5 seasons and explores the psychological and emotional foundation that leads Norman to become the infamous character known from the original film. Bates Motel begins with Norma Bates buying a rundown motel in the coastal town of White Pine Bay, Oregon, following her husband's mysterious death. The seemingly quaint town hides a seedy underbelly of criminal activity, including drug trafficking and human trafficking. As Norma and Norman attempt to run the motel and start fresh, their lives are repeatedly disrupted by the town's dark secrets and their own complex relationship.
I've been waiting for you.
Mom, come on, sit down.
Just eat your dinner.
Mother!
Norma is a complex character, shaped by a traumatic past. Her fierce protectiveness over Norman stems from a place of deep fear and love. As the series progresses, we see her oscillate between moments of vulnerability and assertive control, particularly in her relationships with men and her desperate attempts to protect her family. Norman's transformation is the crux of the series. Initially presented as a shy, polite teenager, his descent into madness is gradual and terrifying. His blackouts and creation of the mother persona illustrate a deeply fractured psyche, exacerbated by his unhealthy bond with Norma.
Norman, we need to talk. I missed you.
That's sort of silly. We just saw each other.
Norman, stop it.
Stop what?
I know what you're doing.
I'm watching a movie.
Mental illness is a core theme in Bates Motel, explored through the characters. Norman's gradual descent into madness is depicted with great detail. His dissociative identity disorder, or DID, is characterized by blackouts, and the emergence of his mother persona is central to the plot. The series explores how his trauma, particularly stemming from his relationship with Norma, manifests in his psyche. His episodes of dissociation often lead him to commit violent acts without his conscious awareness, creating a chilling duality within his character. Norma's mental health is equally complex. Her overprotectiveness and manipulative tendencies stem from her traumatic past, including abuse by her brother, Caleb. Her erratic behavior, intense mood swings, and desperate attempts to control her environment reflect her struggle with unresolved trauma and anxiety. The series portrays her as both a victim and a perpetrator, highlighting the cyclical nature of abuse and mental illness. The intense and often unhealthy bond between Norma and Norman is a driving force in the series. Norma and Norman's relationship is deeply codependent. Norma's smothering love and need to control Norman's life stem from her own fears and insecurities. Norman, in turn, relies heavily on his mother for emotional support and guidance, creating an insular world where they depend almost exclusively on each other. Norma's attempts to protect Norman often involve manipulation and control. She shields him from the world, making decisions on his behalf, which stunts his emotional and psychological growth. This dynamic fosters Norman's dependency and contributes to his mental instability. Despite the toxicity, the series also portrays moments of genuine affection and care between them. Their bond is rooted in a deep, albeit flawed, love that complicates their relationship further. This love becomes a source of both strength and destruction for both characters.
I have the key, Mother.
Norman!
White Pine Bay's criminal underbelly is a persistent threat to the Bates family and shapes much of the series' tension. The town's economy is heavily influenced by the illegal drug trade. Dylan, Norman's brother's involvement in the marijuana business and the conflicts with rival gangs highlight the pervasive nature of crime in White Pine Bay. This setting creates constant danger and moral dilemmas for the characters. Corruption is rampant in White Pine Bay's institutions, including law enforcement. Sheriff Romero, while initially a figure of authority, becomes entangled in the town's criminal activities and his own personal vendettas. His relationship with the Bates family further blurs the lines between right and wrong. The series features numerous instances of violence, often as a means of resolving conflicts or asserting control. The criminal elements in the town frequently resort to brutal methods to maintain their power, contributing to the overarching sense of danger.
You said you wanted me to have a life here. This is how you have one.
Norman, I'm just looking out for you. As long as we're together, then nothing bad can really happen.
Norman's struggle with his identity and the emergence of his mother persona are central to the narrative. Norman's DID creates a duality within him, where his mother persona takes over during moments of stress or danger. This split personality embodies a darker, more protective side that Norman cannot reconcile with his conscious self. The series explores how this duality leads to tragic consequences, both for Norman and those around him. As Norman's condition worsens, he loses his sense of self, often unable to distinguish between his actions and those of his mother persona. This loss of identity is depicted as both a personal tragedy and a source of horror, as Norman becomes increasingly dangerous. The theme of identity is also explored through the question of nature versus nurture. Norman's descent into madness is influenced by both his inherent psychological issues and the environment created by Norma. The series suggests that his mental illness is a product of both genetic predisposition and the traumatic experiences of his upbringing. Secrecy and deception are recurring motifs in Bates Motel, shaping the characters' interactions and the overall plot. Many characters in the series harbor secrets about their pasts, which influence their present actions. Norma's history of abuse and her involvement in various crimes are slowly revealed, adding layers to her character and the story. The Bates family is constantly involved in cover-ups to protect themselves from legal and social repercussions. From hiding murders to concealing Norman's mental illness, these deceptions create a web of lies that becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. The pursuit of truth and the consequences of uncovering secrets drive much of the series' tension. Characters like Sheriff Romero and Dylan are often caught between their desire to uncover the truth and the dangerous implications of their discoveries.
You're here and you see things that aren't there.
It's not true.
We came here to start over. I am starting over.
The series is imbued with a sense of inevitable tragedy, echoing the fate of the characters in Psycho. From the outset, Bates Motel foreshadows the tragic destinies of Norman and Norma. The series explores how their actions and choices inexorably lead to their downfall, creating a sense of impending doom. The theme of fate is intertwined with the characters' inability to escape their pasts and their psychological issues. Despite moments of hope and attempts to change, their tragic end feels inevitable, underscoring the series' dark and fatalistic tone. Bates Motel highlights the frailty of its characters, emphasizing their vulnerabilities and flaws. This humanizes them, making their tragic outcomes more poignant and relatable. The show delves deeply into these themes, creating a rich and multifaceted narrative that explores the complexities of mental illness, family dynamics, crime, identity, and fate. The series' ability to weave these themes into its storylines and character arcs is what makes it compelling and impactful, offering a modern psychological thriller that pays homage to its cinematic predecessor while standing firmly on its own. Bates Motel stands out as a successful reimagining of the classic story of Psycho, bringing new life to the characters and setting while respecting the original source material. By delving into the lives of Norman and Norma Bates, the series expands the mythology of Psycho. It provides context and depth to their characters, exploring their psychological makeup and the events that shape them, thereby enhancing the understanding of their actions in the original film. The performances of the cast, particularly Vera Farmiga and Freddie Highmore, were pivotal in the success and impact of the series.
What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
I love you, Norman.
I love you too, Mom.
Farmiga's portrayal of Norma Bates earned critical acclaim for its complexity and emotional depth. She brought a multifaceted character to life, balancing Norma's fierce protectiveness, vulnerability, and instability. Her performance added significant emotional weight to the series and was frequently highlighted as one of its strongest elements. Highmore's performance as Norman Bates was lauded for its nuance and range. He adeptly captured Norman's innocence, vulnerability, and eventual descent into madness. His ability to portray the duality of Norman's personality, especially the emergence of his mother persona, was central to the series' psychological intrigue. Bates Motel is notable for its sensitive and detailed portrayal of mental health issues, particularly dissociative identity disorder. The series brought attention to the complexities of mental illness, depicting it with a level of detail and compassion that is often missing in mainstream media. By exploring Norman's DID and the impact of trauma on both him and Norma, the show provided a more nuanced understanding of these issues. The portrayal of Norman's psychological struggles sparked discussions among viewers and critics about mental health, trauma, and the importance of understanding and addressing these issues in society. The character development is one of its most celebrated aspects, contributing to its lasting impact. The series is rich with complex, well-developed characters whose motivations and actions drive the narrative. This focus on character-driven storytelling allows for a deeper emotional connection with the audience. The intricate portrayal of the Bates family dynamics, particularly the relationship between Norma and Norman, adds layers of psychological and emotional depth to the series. This exploration of familial bonds and their impact on individual psychology is a key element of its legacy. Bates Motel has left a significant mark on the landscape of television, influencing subsequent series in the psychological thriller and horror genres. The show set a high standard for quality in terms of storytelling, character development, and production values. It demonstrated that television adaptations or reimaginings of classic films could be both respectful and innovative, paving the way for other series to follow.
I've never seen anyone go into a hole like that. I mean, you're like not there.
Are you telling me the truth, Johnny?
You need to tell me what happened that night.
You were just using me, you son of a bitch!
Bates Motel received numerous accolades and nominations, cementing its place in television history. The series garnered critical acclaim and received several awards, including a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for Vera Farmiga. It also won awards from the People's Choice Awards, Saturn Awards, and Critics' Choice Television Awards. Critics consistently praised the series for its performances, writing, and direction. Its ability to balance suspense, horror, and emotional depth was highlighted as a key strength. The cultural impact of the show is evident in its continued relevance and influence. The series developed a dedicated fan base that continues to celebrate and discuss its themes, characters, and impact. Fan communities, online discussions, and fan fiction keep the legacy of the show alive. Bates Motel has been the subject of academic analysis and critique, particularly in studies of mental health representation, family dynamics, and adaptations of classic films. Its portrayal of complex psychological issues makes it a valuable text for academic exploration. Bates Motel significantly enriched the Psycho franchise, adding depth and dimension. The series offers new perspectives on familiar characters, allowing fans of the original film to see them in a new light. This fresh take reinvigorated interest in the Psycho franchise and introduced it to a new audience. The legacy of Bates Motel is multifaceted, encompassing its reinvention of a classic story, critically acclaimed performances, exploration of mental health, strong character-driven storytelling, influence on television, awards and recognition, lasting cultural impact, and contribution to the Psycho franchise. Its success and impact demonstrate the potential for television series to both honor and innovate upon classic source material, creating compelling and meaningful narratives that resonate with contemporary audiences.
She's lying! Can you see? I don't want to be! Get
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you in the next video.